Guest Mike Pompeo, former Secretary of State. Sir, thank you for your time, and good morning to you on this Friday. There was a phone call last night between President Biden and the President of Ukraine. There's a lot of confusion as to what happened on this call. I don't really know what the truth is, but apparently the Ukrainian president said, calm down on the messaging. Why are you pulling your State Department folks out of Kiev? And apparently President Biden talked about, well, get ready for an invasion. Are you able to make sense of this from afar?
Boy, Bill, it's difficult to know what precisely was said, but I'm confident President Biden told him that the Russians are acting in a way that looks like they're getting ready to actually make a significant incursion into the country. I'm sure President Biden shared that with him. I've been on the phone many times with President Zelensky. We had at least one famous phone call with the Ukrainians in our administration. What we hope we did was to demonstrate to them that we will continue to support them, provide the weapon systems they need. I was in the Madonna, I've been in that subway system. I know Kyiv pretty well. They will fight, they will do the right thing, but they need to know that Europe and the United States are prepared to provide them the assistance they need. That's the only thing that has a chance of convincing President Putin not to conduct an invasion. We got behind, Bill, Dana. We for 8 months we sat on our hands and allowed Putin to get the upper hand. We were on our back foot in Afghanistan. We were on our back foot with the colonial pipeline. Each of these things Putin observed, and he is pushing very hard to use coercion and force to take what it is that he has wanted for so long.
Just quickly on that phone call that you mentioned, that of course that got a lot of attention during the Trump administration. Joe Biden at the time demanded that the president at the time release a transcript of the phone call. Do you think that is a good practice, and should they release a phone call to clear up any discrepancies from last night?
Well, in that case, we actually did release the contents of the phone call. But then I tell you, I think that's a bad idea. I think presidents and foreign leaders who speak ought to do so in confidence, and our foreign counterparts ought to know that the things they say won't be broadcast. So I think that's a poor idea. What's more important is what was actually said, and even more important than that, Dana, the things that the United States is prepared to do and to demand that our European friends do, and NATO and the EU do, to help the Ukrainian people.
During your time serving the Trump administration, a lot of your focus went to North Korea. And have you seen and take note of what North Korea has done in this year alone? On screen now, call for number 4, going back to the 5th of January, the test apparently of a hypersonic missile. Again on the 11th, on and on it goes to cruise missiles on the 25th, and January 27th, short-range ballistic missiles. This has gone literally under the radar of the American people and their focus. What to do about it now?
Bill, it's a really good point. We talk a lot about Ukraine today and Russia. We shouldn't forget that Xi Jinping is about to host an Olympics. You mentioned North Korea is now over half a dozen missiles have been fired since just the beginning of this year. The world's a dangerous place, and when America is not prepared to be resolved and do the right things to protect its interests, this is what authoritarian regimes do. I was in the meetings with Chairman Kim, probably more than anybody else. I was there with the president. We'd convinced him not to conduct long-range missile tests and not to conduct any more nuclear tests. He's now saying he's going to do some more nuclear testing. This is what happens when you lead from behind and you're not prepared to do things that matter. If you're sitting in Kansas or New Hampshire or in South Carolina or Florida, and you watch the United States walk away from these things, it has a real impact. If Ukraine goes wrong or North Korea goes wrong, we'll have higher energy prices, more instability, food will cost more. These things, what happens in Beijing or in Pyongyang or in Kyiv doesn't just stay in those places. This matters a lot to get foreign policy and national security right.
On. Dana wants a question on Iran. In the interest of time, I just want to get this follow-up in. Do you believe North Korea will have hypersonic capability very soon? Or what is Kim Jong-un's endgame now? President Trump said, I'll meet with you. I'll come to the DMZ. Well, what do you think he wants today?
I think he wants to continue to build out his nuclear program so that he can hold America at risk. He's not there yet. We still have very capable systems. These hypersonic tools, however, are real. We tried to get back heading in a way that we could protect ourselves, not only from North Korean hypersonic weapons, but from Russia and Chinese ones as well. The United States needs to have a deterrence posture, a missile defense posture, like Reagan began to build out.
My question on Iran was that I understand that there were 3 negotiators from the State Department who decided to leave those posts. They did not want to continue with those negotiations, thought they were going in the wrong direction. What is the state of the talks with Iran on the nuclear deal?
Oh, goodness. I don't know why they left. I hope they left because they couldn't stand appeasement in the same way that I can't stand appeasement. It looks like that's what we're prepared to do, Dana. We're about to give the Iranians an enormous win with billions of dollars that will be used against the Middle East, our Gulf state friends, our closest ally in the Middle East, the Israelis, and ultimately put America at risk as well. It's really disastrous to think we're going to go back into the deal that President Obama had originally struck back in 2015.
But it appears the hawks on the American team have had enough. And they're the ones who said, we're gone. That would not seem to portend good news if you want to keep Iran from going nuclear. Your view on that is what?
Yeah, Bill, I agree. It's not good news. It appears this administration is headed down the path of trying to resurrect the failed deal instead of understanding that an Iran with wealth and money is a dangerous, dangerous country.
Secretary Pompeo, thank you.
Thank you, sir.